You hear it all the time. Someone says trucking is a gold mine. They talk about big paychecks and the freedom of the highway. Then you hear the other side. Someone else says you will go broke. They say the costs will eat you alive. Both stories are just noise. Myths born from not knowing the numbers. The real truth about making money in trucking is not a story. It is simple math. It is about what you earn, what you spend, and what you keep. Let's start with the most important formula in business. It is so simple, yet so many people ignore it. The formula is revenue minus costs equals profit. That is it. That is the whole game. Revenue is the total money that comes in the door. For a trucker, this is your gross pay. It could be your per mile rate times the miles you drove. It could be a percentage of the load. It could be a weekly salary. It is the big number you see before anything gets taken out. It feels good to look at, but it is not the number that pays your bills. Profit is the money you actually get to keep. It is what is left over after every single expense has been paid. This is the money that builds your savings, pays down your debt, and secures your future. Many drivers make the mistake of living off their revenue. They see a big check for $3,750 and think they are rich for the week. They forget a huge chunk belongs to the fuel station, the insurance company, and the repair shop. Costs are everything you spend to earn your revenue. We can break them down into two main types. First are fixed costs, truck payment, your insurance premium, and your permits. They are predictable and constant. The second type is variable costs. Fuel is the biggest one. Tires, maintenance, tolls. You must track both types of costs with extreme detail. So when someone tells you they grossed $200,000 last year, your first question should not be, wow, how? It should be, what was your net profit? A driver who grosses $200,000 but has $180,000 in costs is only making $20,000. That is not a good living. Another driver might gross $120,000 but only have $70,000 in costs, leaving a $50,000 profit. Who is winning? It is the person who keeps more. Now let's look at a real-world example for a company driver. This path is simpler and has less financial risk. The company owns the truck. The company pays for the fuel. The company covers big expenses like insurance and major repairs. Your financial picture is much cleaner, but you still have costs you must control. Let's say you are a company driver named Susan. She gets paid $0.60 per mile. She runs 2,500 miles per week. First, let's calculate Susan's weekly revenue. Multiply miles by pay rate. 2,500 x $0.60, $1,500. That's her gross revenue for the week. Many people stop at $2,500, but that's not the whole truth. Susan has personal operating costs on the road. Groceries and meals, about $150 per week. Cell phone and internet, about $25 per week. Laundry and cab supplies, about $25 per week. Total personal costs are $200 per week. Subtract costs, $1,500, $200, or $2,300. That's her true weekly earnings before taxes. From that, she pays income taxes and saves for retirement. A company driver's path is less risky, but personal budgeting is the key to winning with money. The owner-operator life is a different beast entirely. Here, you are the business. You have the potential to earn much more. You also take on all the risks. You also take on all the costs. Let's look at an owner-operator named Bill. Bill has his own truck. He contracts directly with brokers. He charges an average of $2.20 per mile. He drives 2,500 miles in a week. First, we calculate Bill's gross revenue, $2,500 x 2x20. Weekly revenue, $5,500. That's over $20,000 in a month. Not a dime of that is his until he pays all the bills. Bill's list of expenses is long and expensive. He pays for everything Susan's company paid for, and then some. This is where most owner-operators get into deep trouble. Fuel is the monster. Truck gets 6.5 Limburg, 2,500, 6.5385 gallons. Diesel at $4.25 gal, 1,636. Truck payment $500. Insurance $250. Maintenance fund $300. Permits and fees $75. Tolls and MISC $125. Total truck operating costs $2,186. Add personal costs $200. Total weekly costs Myros $3,086. Revenue $5,500 minus costs $3,086 equals pre-tax profit $2,414. One major breakdown could wipe out a month's profit. Let me tell you about a real driver I talked to, a guy named Mark. Mark was an owner-operator who was struggling. He ran about 2,200 miles a week, averaging around $2 per mile, about $4,400 revenue. On paper, he should have been doing great, but some weeks he only cleared $400 to $500. He thought the brokers were cheating him. He was focused on the wrong thing, revenue per mile, while ignoring expenses. When we tracked every penny, we found the problem. It was not brokers, not his truck payment. It was fuel. He was getting 5.5 mpg. At 2,200 miles, that's 400 gallons. At 450 gal, $1,800 a week. Over 40% of revenue. For 1 month, I told him, focus only on fuel. He slowed to 62 and checked tire pressure every morning. MPG climbed from 5.5 to 6.5. Same 2,200 miles now needed 1,338 gallons. Weekly fuel bill fell to about $1,121, saving $279 a week. That's over $100 a month in pure profit. Chasing revenue is exhausting. Controlling costs is empowering. You do not need a fancy finance degree. You just need discipline and attention. Focus on the big cost drivers. Here are 3 simple, powerful tricks you can start on your next trip. First, attack your food costs. Eating out 3 times a day is a fast way to go broke. Invest in a fridge, microwave, or slow cooker. Buy groceries, pack lunches, make your coffee. Save $150 a week. That's $7,800 a year. Second, become obsessed with fuel efficiency. Biggest factors, speed and tire pressure. Cut down on idling. Third, know your break-even cost per mile. Total costs divided by miles. That's the minimum you must earn. If your break-even is 1 to 60, a 155 load costs you money. Knowing this gives you power. So, what is the truth about trucking pay? It is math. It is the choices you make daily. The power is not in brokers, companies, or the economy. The power is in your hands, your budget, your calculator, your discipline. Whatever your role, the principle is identical. Take control of your numbers. Track everything. Know your profit per mile. Focus on what you can control. On your next run, pack 1 meal. On your next fill-up, check your tires. On your next settlement, calculate your real profit. You are the CEO of your own life. Your income is your greatest tool, but without a plan, it slips away.